Welcome my dear learners. I am Dr. Rasmeet Kaur, Associate Professor from Department of Management of the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. And today in this video we are going to talk about human resource planning. Let's have a quick overview over the topics what we will be doing in this video. We will be talking about meaning of human resource planning, its features, importance, and also we will be discussing about the factors which affect human resource planning. Human resource planning, which is also referred as HRP, is the process of systematically identifying and aligning organizations' human resources with its strategic objectives and operational needs. Human resource planning is a very crucial element of the organization because it helps in the growth and development of the organization. It involves forecasting of an organization's future workforce requirement and developing various strategies to meet those requirements. If I talk about HRP, it is the systematic process of forecasting an organization's future human resource needs and ensuring that the right people are at the right place at the right time to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. So let us discuss about the characteristics or features of human resource planning. Talking about the first one, that is, it is a systematic process. When I say it is a systematic process, I mean to say that HRP is a structured and a continuous process which involves a series of steps which are required to meet the organizational goals and objectives. Talking about the second one, that is forecasting. To forecast means to predict. When I say it is one of the characteristics or features of HRP, we mean to say here that it helps to predict the organization's future workforce requirement which are based on various factors. Those factors can be growth, technology changes, and also the market trends in the industry. Let's talk about the third one, that is alignment with the objectives. Any planning which is done in the organization needs to be aligned with the organizational goals and objectives. Another feature could be that assessment of current workforce. If we are planning or predicting the human resource which is required in the organization, it is very important to assess what is the current HR which is working in the organization. So, to evaluate the skills, competencies and performance of the existing employee will give us the data regarding this. Next is risk management. HRP also helps in identifying and mitigating the potential workforce shortages or surplus in the organization, which further reduces the risk. The last one which is mentioned is flexibility. Any human resource planning which is done in the organization should be always adaptable to the changes which are happening in the internal and the external environment. Let's move on to what is the importance of human resource planning. Why is it done in the organization? As you can see, there are certain points which are listed, such as efficient resource allocation, talent acquisition, strategic decision making, competitive advantage and legal compliance. Let us take them one by one. Talking about the first one, that is efficient resource allocation. Any human resource planning which is done in the organization helps in allocating the HRP effectively and also in reducing the wastages and improves the cost effectiveness. Talking about talent acquisition. Talent acquisition helps in recruiting and retaining the right talent by reducing the turnovers and improving employee satisfaction. Talking about the third one, that is strategic decision making. One of the importance of doing HRP is that it helps in assisting in making certain informed decisions which are related to staffing, training and development which are aligned with the organizational strategic goals. Talking about the competitive advantage, which is the next one as an importance, it means that organizations with effective HRP helps in adapting certain changes which are happening in the environment. So, those certain changes which are there internally and externally helps us to keep a competitive edge, and that is why HRP is very important. Let us move on now to what are the internal and external factors which affect the human resource planning in any organization. Let us talk about the internal factors first. When I say internal factors, these are all those factors which are within the organization and are in control of the organization. So while we plan, the first important factor is organizational goals and objectives. The organization's goals are short term and long term, which are derived while we do the HR planning. The alignment between the HR strategy and these goals is a very crucial part in any organization. Second is the workforce structure. Again, it is one of the internal factors which gives us an idea about the current composition of the workforce, their skill sets, experience and certain demographic impacts which are there on the human resource planning decisions. Talking about the third internal factor is the labor force analysis. Labor force analysis is basically understanding the labor force, trends within the organization such as if there are turnovers, that is people leaving the organization, retirement patterns, how people are planning their retirements, and further if there are any talent shortages, that is very important for the management to plan the human resource accordingly. Let us talk about the next internal factor, that is budget constraints. The budget allocated to HR affects the recruitment, training, development and other initiatives which are very important in shaping the HR process. So it is also one of the crucial elements So let us now talk about the next internal factor, which is organizational culture. When I say culture, culture and values are very important element in any organization and they play a very crucial role while we talk about attracting, retaining and developing employees in the organization. Next internal factor can be the technology and the automation. Advances in technology also impacts the skills and competencies which are required in the workforce and thus also affects the manpower planning in any organization. Now let us move on to what are the external factors which affects the human resource planning. One of them is economic conditions. The economic factors such as inflation, unemployment, the GDP growth, all these factors affect the HR planning in any organization. As they are the external factors, so they are beyond the control of the organization. The second external factor is the legislation and labor laws. Government regulations regarding labor, employment equity and workforce safety also influence the manpower planning of any organization. Third is the labor market conditions. When we talk about the labor market conditions, it is basically the availability of talent in the external labor market along with the supply and demand dynamics which impacts the entire recruitment strategies of any organization. The next external factor is the trend which is going on in the industry, which we also call as industry trends. These are sector specific trends, like we have different trends for agriculture, production, manufacturing industries. So the competition in these industries will also affect the types of skills and talents which are required in the organization. When we talk about the next internal factor, which is very common and which is something which affects the manpower planning to a very great extent nowadays, is the globalization. When we talk about globalization, it means expansion. So expansion in the global market necessitates HRP, that is human resource planning, and that is considered to be a very important element when we plan the international talent and cultural diversities. So to conclude with, we can say human resource planning is a dynamic process which is influenced by various internal and external factors. After having a proper study and knowledge about this, it will help you to understand how the organizations plan their HR strategies, which help them to keep their organizational goals aligned. Also, understanding and addressing these factors will help you to achieve a competitive advantage in today's dynamic business environment. Thank you for watching this video.